London Notes and Lectures by Walter C.Lanyon. Preface. If any lack wisdom, let him ask of God. Sooner or later we find the wisdom of man is foolishness in the eyes of God, and drop this wisdom, accepting the pure teaching of inspiration as set forth by the man, Jesus Christ. It is the impersonal message which you seek, not a man-made creation. The letter, without the spirit being dead, makes poor food by which to live. Seek not then the letter, but the spirit of inspiration. If Jesus the Christ could not find it within himself to be called good or great, who that has followed shall proclaim himself great and wonderful? Call not me, Jesus, good. He that hath sent me is the only good. He that hath sent us into expression is the only good, because he is God. Away then with the sickly worship of personalities and doctrines. Be not a slave to my doctrine or thy doctrine. There is only one doctrine, and that has been proclaimed since the beginning of time. My doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. The doctrine that sent you into expression is free from creed, form, or ritual. When you begin to read with the spirit of truth, you will find it in everything. You will be surprised to find your most original thought has been expressed in countless ways, thousands of years before you thought it. When the eye is single to the all-good of God's universe, you will read the handwriting on the wall in everything and everybody. You will learn the truth of what Omar says. To gather something from everyone, thou passeth on life's highway. The message of a letter is always between the lines. So is it with truth. But what went you out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? A prophet? Put away from you the worship of personality. I am the truth, the light, and the way, was not said of man, but of the Christ consciousness, which is your heritage. Peace be unto you, pilgrim. Follow the Christ on the open road, and the very God of peace shall sanctify you wholly. Introduction. This collection of notes and lectures was compiled after a year's work in England, at the conclusion of a 2 years cruise around the world. The gist of the book is to establish self-reliance, to bring to the attention of man the nature of his true self, which has been called the I Am, or Christ consciousness, and to cause him to see that by becoming one with this power, he is the power in action. No more will he attempt to use this power once he understands that he is the power. Thousands of people in the field of metaphysics are still seeking in the outside world, or from another person, that help which lies within themselves. They have but to be awakened to this truth, to feel the stir of self-resurrection. Every man will finally learn that he must travel the path alone. The sooner he learns this, the quicker will be his progress into the broad expanse of power. When we take our faith away from personality and place it on the principle of good, we begin to experience the peace that passeth all understanding. First, metaphysics and mathematics. In many respects, metaphysics is pure mathematics, and vice versa. X is the unknown quantity, unknown God whom ye ignorantly worship, which is sought and looked for by every earnest student. It remains unknown until the principle is properly applied, and we perceive it as the very power which is doing the seeking. A beginner in mathematics spends a large portion of his time looking for the answer, but when he goes further into the subject, he is interested in understanding and applying the principle. He gradually learns that the answer is the natural and logical sequence of the proper application of the principle. A beginner in metaphysics seeks the kingdom of heaven by trying to get things or the answers to his problems. Yet the statement of the principle is, seek first the kingdom of heaven, and the things shall be added. That is, seek to understand and know the principle, and the answer will follow quite naturally. In metaphysics, as in mathematics, the signs, or answers, follow, not precede. Them that believe are firm. Talking about the principle of mathematics will never work out a problem, any more than talking about truth will bring out harmony. A page of problems may lie next to a perfectly stated principle for thousands of years, and nothing happen. Talking about the truth in the most beautiful and correct form does not obtain results. What is the truth? What is the unknown quantity represented by X? Has been asked all down the centuries, and yet the answer is stated simply by the master: I am the truth. When a man has principal in the bank, the interest accrues automatically. He puts forth no effort to make the interest. When a man has a consciousness of principle, as everywhere evenly present, he accrues the interest in the form of that thing which will constantly solve the so-called problems of life. In mathematics, before you begin to work out a problem, you recognize one thing, and that is that the answer or solution already is. It exists before you even start to apply the principle to the problem at hand. The same thing is true of metaphysics. Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will give it unto them. The answer to your problem or prayer already is before you even attempt to work it out. It gives one courage to understand that there is no such thing as an unanswered problem in the universe, and it causes one to turn to the Master, who eternally started with the premise, "It is done." Jesus recognized that every problem was solved before the request was spoken. He wasted no time in begging and beseeching the principle to work out anything. He started with the premise, "It is done." The more conversant we are with the principle of mathematics, the quicker we are in approximating the answer. The more we recognize the oneness of God, the quicker we see Him manifest. Everything that ever was or will be is at this moment. When Michelangelo saw the angel in the block of marble, he conceived it as perfect, complete, and finished. And having this concept, the labor or expression of bringing the unmanifest into the manifest was simple, direct, and joyous. If a room is in a state of chaos, before it can be set in order, it must first be conceived as being in perfect order in mind. At that instant it is done, and the matter of setting it in order on the outer plane is merely the action of mind expressing itself through you. A child labors with a simple problem. You are aware of the perfect solution, while the child is still laboring with the delusion that he has to get the answer. The same thing is true in metaphysics. Jesus stood in the same position to humanity that you stand to the child. He saw the solution instantly, while humanity struggled with its problems. You may continue forever to deny statements made regarding a mathematical problem. You could consume a lifetime telling what 2 times 2 are not, and arrive at no conclusion. There is only one thing which can be said regarding the equation, and that is what has eternally been true about it. The same thing can be said of man, and that is the all-inclusive statement that he is perfect now. Why is he perfect? Because he is the Son of God, now. And could the Son of a perfect power manifest imperfection now? And if he cannot manifest it now, can he ever manifest it, since it is always the everlasting now? Thou shalt have no other gods, principle before me, is a mathematical law as well as a spiritual command. You can get results no other way, except by the exact application of the principle. The more you are aware of principle as eternally existing, the easier will the circumstance which calls itself a problem be answered. In the process of subtraction, we are told at the beginning to take the lesser from the greater number. But later on, we find that we take the greater from the lesser in order to bring out the harmony, or answer, to the so-called problem. In metaphysics, at first, we start with seeking things, but presently we reverse this process and seek first principle, and therein find everything solved. The rules of mathematics are hard and fast. The same is true of metaphysics. Not one jot or tittle shall be removed until the law is fulfilled. So it is with mathematics. Almost using the principle correctly does not get results, though it may approach them. Beseeching mathematics or God to work out problems which are already solved will not help. Praising the principle of mathematics will not help. Intelligent cooperation with it is necessary, just as Jesus expressed it when he said, "I can of mine own self do nothing, but with God all things are possible." To become one with principle is to go to the foundation of it. As well imagine that the principle of mathematics is going to set aside an unbreakable law and give you the answer to your problem, as to imagine you can break the law of God. God is not mocked. Neither is the principle of mathematics. You get exactly what you put into it. One of the most interesting problems of the Bible is that of Job. He had nothing, but the answer to the problem was, his captivity was turned, and he had twice as much as he had before. What is it that could bring out this solution? You have the problem, and the answer stated. But what was the actual principle that was used to bring it into manifestation? A child will cry over its problems, but a more advanced mathematician deletes the self-pity idea, realizing the utter futility of it. A good metaphysician will have done with this useless baggage. He will waste no time pitying himself. When you have arrived at the answer to your problem in mathematics, you throw away all the labor and work and think no more of it. The answer neutralized the vacuum you thought existed, and this being done, you are through. The same thing applies to metaphysics. When you bring into manifestation the solution to the nothingness called problem, if you are wise, you will not rehearse or go over the details of the difficulties overcome. The principle of mathematics is impartial and impersonal. So is God. Telling the principle of mathematics that you have worked, labored, and suffered in its cause does not cause it to do more than it has already done, which is to supply the perfect answer to every problem. God cannot do more than all, and he has said through the way shower, "The kingdom of heaven is at hand," or in other words, there is no problem. How could there be a problem in heaven? Come unto me, all ye that labor, and I will give you rest. Come to the understanding, and you have rest from the struggle in both mathematics and metaphysics. Also you come into the rich heritage. To him that hath understanding of the principle shall be given the power to quickly recognize the answer as eternally existing, both in mathematics and metaphysics. Seek first the kingdom, principle, and the things shall be added. Use not vain repetition. Merely going over formula will do nothing. Ye seek me for the loaves and fishes, when you are always seeking for the answer to problems, caring nothing for the principle. To work out a problem for a child has its advantages at certain stages, but only gives temporary relief. If he is shown the principle, he can bring out results of harmony, which will be permanent. He can cease his dependence on persons and go to the source of all. The advanced mathematician looking over the shoulder of the child sees the solution, almost as the child is setting the problem on paper. So it is with the Christ consciousness. It knows the solution to every problem, because all problems are beliefs, and in reality exist only in the mind of the person. When we become one with the Father and let the Christ mind be in us, we are raised to the level of having eyes that see. Thomas must have his sign, but Peter understands without the sign and receives the rich blessing of understanding. If you want to level up your manifestation skills, smash the like and subscribe button. May you be blessed.